is a Bramble Jam podcast.
Welcome to Girls Gone Hallmark, a Hallmark review podcast. I'm Megan, and I'm a longtime Hallmark fan.
I'm Wendy. I'm a former Hallmark hater.
Today, we are joined by director extraordinaire Jeff Beesley, who has not one but two movies coming to the Hallmark Christmas season. Before we get into our discussion with him, just a quick reminder outside of the podcast, you can follow us on Instagram. We are Girls Gone Hallmark.
You can also jump into our Girls Gone Hallmark Facebook group with tons of great people who are just going crazy over there right now, talking all these movies.
Yeah, loving
lots
the
of
launch.
Yeah.
As mentioned, we are joined by Jeff Beesley, who directed both A Carol for Two and Following Yonder Star. So we have a Countdown to Christmas and a Miracles of Christmas movie. He also directed Haunted Wedding and other hits that we loved, like the Santa Summit. Thank you for joining us, Jeff.
Thank you for having me.
I'm looking at your resume and I'm so overwhelmed because I'm like, I want to talk to you about so many things. We absolutely loved the Santa Summit last year. We're still talking about it, that cast, how much we talked to Russell Hainline recently. And we're like, we need a sequel of that movie. Do you love working with an ensemble cast like that?
It's kind of my favorite, actually. I love movies with lots of characters. I'm obviously a big fan of like Robert Altman and American cinema like that. So the more the merrier as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, it just was such a fun watch. You also have A Carol for Two, which is out this Friday, November 1st. And that's a movie written by Nina Weinman. Another kind of fun twist, you're working with a musical element there. How did that change things for you?
So this A Carol for Two is a very, very special film. This will be my third movie with Nina. And the project went through a lot of kind of ups and downs because of all the strikes. It was going to happen, then it wasn't going to happen. And we were ready to go on a Friday, and on Monday it turned out it wasn't going to happen. And we instead jumped onto Miracle in Bethlehem. So it was one of those projects that felt a bit doomed, but then once it all came together, was actually, one of my most rewarding, fulfilling creative experiences. I think what makes the movie different than most Hallmark movies that have a musical element is that all the music is recorded live. There's no lip syncing in the movie whatsoever. Yeah. So all the amazing songs you hear in the musical are live, off the floor, the band, the singers, everything. So it certainly has a different energy and feel than maybe other Hallmarks that did lip syncing.
I mean, you've got Gina and you've got Jordan, two like Broadway powerhouses. I can only imagine what that was like, having them sing live on set. That just must have brought so much power to the recordings.
It was amazing. And, this was Jordan's first time behind the camera or in front of the camera. All of his experience had been on stage doing Wicked. So it was a challenge. Like it was, he's great on stage. Let's see what he can do in front of a camera. And the man is just a machine. That he was just every piece of advice he could get from not only me, but the key grip, the continuity people. Gina Claire was obviously amazing with him. But I think when people see his performance, you'll be very surprised to know this is his first role. But as far as their singing goes, there's not. I think that most of the crew members would say it was their favorite movie just because of the level. This is world-class singing and world-class performances. And on top of that, we had a world-class band with amazing arrangements of, some traditional Christmas carols that are, been jazzed up and Broadwayed up. And so just overall, the music, I think, in this movie alone is really, really fantastic.
God, I can't wait to see it. I'm so excited.
I know we were
all that stuff.
Dying to get our hands on a screener ahead of time, but we will. This is one we're going to be watching live for sure. I have a theater kid of my own at home, so I know she's dying to watch this one as well. You know, Stephanie Sy is in this movie, and we see a lot of repeat, as we call them, Jeff Beesley players in a lot of your movies. Like Haunted Wedding was another kind of like parade of people. In my mind, I'm like, those are his favorites. What's that like? How do you make that happen when you're like, look, these are the people I love to work with. How can we make this script and this movie work with those people?
It's thankfully the Jeff Beesley players is growing.
Yeah.
There's new people coming into the troupe for sure. But like when I look at, I mean, the thing that's really special about people like Stephanie Sy and Amy Groening, I mean, we kind of started out together in a lot of ways. I mean, I'm a little bit older than them, obviously, but I remember Stephanie Sy's first audition. I remember Amy when she first moved back to Winnipeg, and we've all kind of grown together, and it's just that I'm just so thrilled to see Amy starring in her own movie, and hopefully Stephanie will be the next one who has her own movie. And I don't know, I'm just a loyal person, and I feel like, sometimes, when you look at directors like Wes Anderson or Woody Allen or Robert Altman, they seem to like have their favorites, and these guys like to come, and it's not like they come and do the same part every movie. They certainly try to expand and do different things. Like Dan in Haunted Wedding was very different than Dan was in Santa Summit. So we just try to put different spins on these characters. But like I said, the troupe is growing. There's a whole new roster of theater actors that are coming up in Winnipeg that are coming out in the movies this season that I think you guys are really going to enjoy. So yeah, we like to keep it fresh, but we also like to use our favorites.
You have worked a lot with Nina Weinman. What's the collaboration like between you two on set?
She's actually never been on set.
Oh,
this
interesting.
is a point of contention with me because she's always daring to come, saying she's coming, but she never actually makes it. But I look at like Nina and I have like a brother-sister relationship. We love each other, but we fight and argue about creative things. But it's always for the good of the project, and I think we're a great team and very much in sync. So she's a friend and a colleague I cherish dearly.
Can you tell us how that works in terms of you directing her scripts? Like, do you seek her work out, or is that just by coincidence, or are you given that script?
Luckily, I'm not sure how the inner workings of Hallmark goes, but mostly I'm assigned a project, and luckily 3 of these projects have been with Nina.
Got it.
I think they see that we are a good collaboration and we work well together. She's tireless. She doesn't stop. Even when we're shooting, she's watching daily. She's putting thoughts on things. She's, rewriting scenes or helping to rewrite scenes that are based on things we've shot. So she's Hallmark royalty.
A Haunted Wedding, when we watched it, I said immediately it was one of my favorite favorite movies of the year. It was like a 5-star movie for me. And I think it was everything that we want from Hallmark, but it just leveled everything up. And it was so fun. And when you look at your stable of movies, like the Santa Summit and Love Strikes Twice, like you've got a time travel element. It seems like you get the opportunity to do a lot of fun and different and
Out of the box.
yeah.
Out of the box.
I mean, is
scripts
that
for
something
Hallmark.
you look for, or you're like, let me do something, let's stretch here? Or are they just like, we know Jeff is going to knock this out of the park?
I don't think that's, I don't know. Like, look at the Dayspring movie I'm editing in the basement right now, was a very traditional script, but we certainly brought Brooke Dorsey's in the movie and John Brotherton, and we certainly brought some comedy to it and lightheartedness to it. And like Miracle in Bethlehem was a very, very, very straightforward script. But once, Ben Ayers and I got a hold of that material, we kind of, morphed it into what it became, which was, a pretty big hit. And I think because of the comedy, because of the levity. So, I'm primarily a comedy director. That's my background. And so I try to bring that level of levity to all these projects, trying to mine the humor wherever I can. And I think that the movies are better because of it.
I agree. That's what my favorite thing from a Hallmark movie is. Like I said at the top, I'm a former Hallmark hater. These movies never really spoke to me, but now that we've been doing this for so many years, my favorites are the one that have that comedy just infused into it, and it's so natural and it's not forced. So Haunted Wedding, I thought, was really freaking incredible. I thought it was so funny on so many levels. And of course, we had our main players with Janelle Parrish and
Dominic Sherwood. He's new to
Yeah.
Hallmark.
oh my God, he was great.
Yeah.
But then you have like your
Erica
other
Tuvlays.
Erica Tuvlay in there, who just I would like to say a friend of the show. Like he's amazing. I think he does so much with his face that I just love in his movies. I know he's been in several of your movies. Do you have a personal working relationship with him?
For sure. I mean, I remember Eric's first part. He blew me out of the water. I was like, who is that guy? And he's kind of turned into like, the Steve Buscemi of Hallmark, right? He's very, Matty Finocchio was another dear friend of mine, and I love those kind of actors that are fearless and funny and a little quirky, and they're the right spice in the soup sometimes for these movies. So. And what they do is really hard. Like it's hard to do that kind of comedy, and Maddie and Eric are both great at it, as Dan Dieger. And there's one of the new players in the Beesley troupe is Gino Anardi, who's in Carol for Two. He's someone I've been waiting to give a part like this to for a long time. He plays Brad in the movie. He is hysterical, hysterical. So. Look forward to him. Cassandra Potenza, who played the ghost in the movie, she's a new face to me, and I think she's a movie star. I love her, and I have high hopes for her as well. So again, it's just trying to find that mix of tried and true and new talent, always.
It's fun.
You mentioned like your foundations are in comedy. I mean, you directed Canadian hits, Corner Gas and Little Mosque on the Prairie, and then kind of transitioned to the Hallmark world. How did that happen for you?
Kind of by act. I mean, I don't know. I was producing feature films and doing some other stuff, and I don't know. I just sort of caught wind of what Hallmark was up to and what this whole Christmas revolution was becoming. And Corner Gas was a very special project because it was the #1 show in Canada for 6 seasons, and millions of people watched it every week in a very small country. So. Being a part of a culture where people were watching and interested and reacting is very appealing for a director. And I sort of saw that in Hallmark, that there's a huge following and culture, and people are actually going to watch this work and respond to it, love it or hate it or whatever. But I just want to be a part of something that is meaningful and matters to people. And certainly I've found that home with Hallmark.
Yeah, I think that's what is super unique to Hallmark, is that there is such a strong community around it. I mean, when we started this podcast, we had no idea. It was a bonus episode on another podcast. We were like, let's review Hallmark movies. And very quickly we realized, oh, look at this huge community of people that know so much about every single one of these movies and these actors and directors. And that's now the world we're in. And I think that's really special about the network.
It is. And I just also want to say one more thing about Haunted Wedding and all these projects for that matter, that like I'm a small piece of this puzzle. The execs at Hallmark, you won't find more people that are more caring and passionate about these movies. Like Aisha Francis, who was the executive on Haunted Wedding, this is my second movie with her now. She's been carrying this project for like decades. This idea has been on her desk, and this is something she revamped, got Nina involved, and the rest of it. I mean, she was very involved to every last detail, because she had a very kind of clear vision of what she wanted this comedy to be. I think that she was very excited about me trying to take it other places, comedy-wise. But and it goes across the board. I mean, Camden Simmons, who I'm a third movie in the countdown this year. It's Christmas on Call. That's mine as well. But anyway, Camden was the exec of that one, and these are very passionate people. Jen Kramer, who's the head of Christmas. I mean, these people really want these movies to be brilliant. There's no good enough. Let's just get some in the can. I mean, it's very competitive. All the execs want their movies to be the best, and that to me is inspiring.
Yeah, I love that. I apologize that we didn't know that. The information about the Countdown to Christmas movies has been coming out like right
Yeah.
in front of the movies. And so
Yeah.
Hallmark is spinning a lot of plates these days, we like to
They are.
say.
I'm so upset that we didn't.
Yeah,
Oh,
I
no, it's fine.
apologize.
That's fine.
Sorry.
But that's another Erica Tuvley option right there.
And,
It is.
Donna Kelsey and
oh yeah, Donna
Donna.
Kelsey. You got her for
Yeah.
That's fun.
She has the Eagles jersey on in this one.
I love that.
Yeah,
I love that
Sarah
she-
Canning is the lead in this one, and she's just fantastic, so funny and sweet and amazing. And this is a real Christmas on Call is a real departure for Hallmark as well, because it tells three parallel stories between three partners: EMTs, paramedics, fire. It's very different. It's a very different kind of story. There's a lot of action in the movie. There's a lot of it's different. It's a very different Hallmark movie for sure, and I hope people like it.
That's cool. I love when there's something different.
Hey, let's take a quick break and we'll come right back. As of the recording of this, we're 7 movies into the season, and already with 7 movies, like there's so many different things happening. I mean, it's shocking that in a year following a writers and actors strike that we're able to get this caliber of movies out. One thing we know about Hallmark is they run on a real tight production schedule. Like you're lucky if you have 2 weeks, maybe 20 days on a movie. You have obviously foundations in TV, which kind of have to work quickly too, because you got to get episodes out every week. Does that speak to you? Do you like that fast paced of keeping things moving? Or do you ever wish like what I could do with a month here?
I mean, sure, but I mean that's just not the game. That's
Yeah.
just not how we do it. It's very strict rules of how we do it. And the good news is that everyone's on the same playing field. I don't care if you're shooting a movie in Vancouver or Winnipeg or Ottawa or Costa Rica. Everyone gets 3 weeks of pre-production, 3 weeks of shoot, and basically 3 weeks of post, and that's it. They're all pretty much the same budgets, unless there's something extraordinary that calls for more money, but it's all the same. So it's a very level playing field. The budget of Santa Summit was the same as the Heidelberg movie last year, and et cetera, et cetera. So we're all kind of dealt the same hand, and you play it the best you can.
Oh, I love that Heidelberg movie.
Yeah, I
that
did
made me
too.
cry over and over again. I like that
Yeah,
too.
that's where I first saw Jenna Claire, and I was like, oh, I want to work with her. And yeah,
She's incredible.
Amazing.
she can sing.
I'm so glad she's on the network. Well, even in Heidelberg, she didn't have like a singing role, right? She may have like a small
I think they
scene
sang
that
with
had,
the
like, a
family.
small little scene.
Yeah.
But she's a great actor too, on top of a singer. I love her. I'm so looking forward to the Carol. for
Yeah,
Two.
she's fun and fearless, and she sings in Carol for Two. She's got numbers. It's really great.
Can't wait. Wait a minute. Was she in Wicked? She was Glinda
Yeah.
in Wicked, right?
She was
So
yeah.
did she and
Jordan never crossover. He's more recent.
He's more recent, but I think she just went back because someone was away or something. I think they were on the stage because they sent me a little video of them walking into the theater. But yeah, so I think they have been on the stage together.
how fun?
Oh, that's fun.
I wanted to ask you, it's a non-Hallmark question. Last year, you directed a non-Hallmark movie to Hammer
Mm-hmm.
with Reba McEntire. And how was that?
I mean, it's Reba McEntire. I mean, for whatever you think of how great a person she is, you can double that. I've never worked with anyone that has that kind of light and energy and charisma. She's only about 5 feet tall, and just her aura is just that of a star. It was a dream come true, and we really bonded well. There was actually talk of doing a couple more movies, but because she was such a big hit on The Voice and now has her own sitcom, she just didn't have the time to do anymore. But it's certainly in my back pocket is something I pray that we can find some time to do some more of them, because it was Lifetime's #1 movie of the year, and everyone who was involved in the project had a great time. So I pray we can do another couple at some point when our schedule opens up.
You've mentioned a dream come true. Do you have like a dream project or the things you're really dying to do?
You know what? I'm living my dream right now. I
Yeah.
mean, if you told me 20 years ago I'd be directing 3 or 4 movies a year with these amazing people, I wouldn't believe you. So right now I'm just in a position where I'm grateful. I love the people I work with, and I'm just hoping this wave continues and we continue to, make great movies that people want to see.
Now, you mentioned that you're in editing for Following Yonder Star. What's that process like?
Yeah, well, we have there's obviously, I have a very talented editor, Chad Tremblay, who I've done, I don't know, 10 movies with now. So by the time he's editing the film as I'm shooting, so when I come in, a couple days after we finish shooting, he's got a pretty good assembly together. So then we spend a few days together just massaging scenes and trying to get it close to time and ready for the network to see. But no, I'm certainly not walking into a okay, let's get started situation. He's gone down a significant road, and yeah, he's just a very valuable member of my team that I trust implicitly.
Now, is that typical that directors have their editors that they work with, or are you often handed someone that the network says, this is who's editing the movie?
No, it's not handed, but I mean, certainly depends on how busy things are. I mean, again, these last 2 years have been a dream come true because I've been able to maintain my creative team through most of these projects. Paul Suderman, the DP, Chad, the editor, my first AD. Inferno Pictures is our 8th movie together now. So we've really established a really cool team in Winnipeg that works really well together. And I think that's been a big part of the success of these movies is that we've kept our core creative team together. And I'm hoping that, in 2005, we can sort of maintain that model.
Do you have any trends you're hoping to see on Hallmark? Any direction you're hoping they take on the network?
I think that the new leadership group and the execs are all. That's a question that's it's way above my pay grade. I'm just happy to be a small part of what they're doing, and when I get something sent to me, I just try to make it the best I possibly can and the most innovative it can be and funny and all the rest of it. So I mean, right now I feel like there's an evolution happening, and I'm just thrilled to be a part of it.
I mean, they must love you because I feel like looking back at the resume for the last several years, it's like 3 movies, 4 movies, 5 movies. I'm like, how busy are you from September through January? Or are you shooting earlier in the year and they just
We're
coming out
trying.
at Christmas?
That's always a constant discussion that like Winnipeg has a lot of snow in January, and we'd love to start shooting earlier so we can take advantage of that real snow. But we'll see. I'm busy, but I'd sooner be busy than not busy, and it's nothing that can't be managed. And yeah, I mean, I think they must like what I'm doing because they keep hiring me, so it's all good.
I think that's a good sign, right?
Right. I know you can't say anything yet, but do you have the next project lined up with Hallmark ready to go, or?
No, not yet. I mean, it's all countdown to Christmas time. It's getting these movies done. It's promoting these ones. So I think we're going to get through the season, and then hopefully in, the new year, things start to fire up again. So we'll see what they have in mind.
Very good.
Yeah. Well, why don't you let our listeners know where they can find you and keep up with what you're working on?
I'm not a great social media person. I just sort of kind of put up the when the movies are on, but I'm at Jeff Beesley on Instagram and on X. That's probably the best way. And I have a website, jeffbeasleydirector.com, which you can see some of my other movies and my reel and that kind of thing.
Fantastic.
Cool. Well, we are going to leave links in our show notes for your 3 holiday movies, A Carol for Two, Christmas on Call, and Following Yonder Star. A Carol for Two does premiere tonight as this episode is airing, and we hope everyone will tune in on the Hallmark Channel. Jeff, thank you so much for joining us and chatting with us today.
Thank you, and thank you guys for all your great work and your love and passion for these movies. It's really appreciated.
Oh, thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks for saying that.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Girls Gone Hallmark. If you love this podcast, we do love your 5-star ratings and reviews. You can leave them right in the podcast app that you are listening to. We'll see you next time. Goodbye.
Bye.
All right, friends, before we go, just a quick heads up. You're about to hear some ads. These little gems help us keep the show running and the Hallmark love flowing. So do with that info what you will. Grab a snack, hit the skip button, or maybe, just maybe, listen in and discover your new favorite product. Bye.